used to be, for a short period of time, we called them food stamps decades ago, but they're not food stamps. It's an electronic benefit card that people that wake up in poverty are eligible for. And so, and it supplements their nutritional assistance. It's not meant to provide the main part of what they need. We recognize that, people use whatever their own financial resources, support from family, from family members, food banks, food pantries, and SNAP is kind of at the tail end of that, to provide, to be able to provide. Contrary to anything that's been reported, I have not cut SNAP. I've said up front we weren't going to cut SNAP. And in fact, the Farm, Food, and National Security Act of 2024 expands SNAP. Now, there are a whole lot of folks that are, for political reasons, or maybe out of sheer ignorance, I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. Have said that I'm looking to cut SNAP by $30 billion. That's just not true. And in fact, we expand SNAP. We don't cut anybody's benefits. People need SNAP more right now than ever because of this inflation that folks are dealing with. The housing costs that they have to deal with. Whether it's rent or mortgage rates, interest rates. The average price of food being what it is. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, Pennsylvania had the highest increase in the percentage of cost for food than any other state, which I don't completely understand, other than we're a very rural district and everything has to be transported. Mm-hmm. And the cost of gasoline and diesel fuel, I think, contribute to that. And in fact, we expand SNAP under my leadership on two programs in particular I feel very strongly about, and I hope I'll get bipartisan support on this. I did out of committee. The bill passed with 4 Democrats voting for it and a whole host of other ones that I heard from afterwards that said they wish they could have or would have, but they were being pressured by the Democratic leadership to vote no on the Farm Bill, even though they had ownership on it. One is a population, it's people that were formerly convicted of federal drug charges. These folks have never been eligible for SNAP coming out of prison. The ill-conceived argument was, well, why would we do that? Why would we help somebody that had been arrested on a federal drug charge, and even though they did their bit in prison and came out, we shouldn't help them out? I disagree with that. I think that if a little bit of nutritional support will help an individual change their life around and put them down a pathway of being a contributing citizen, then I think that's a worthy investment. I think it's a righteous thing to do. And these folks are, for the first time in the Farm Bill I've led, are a part of that. And then the other population that will be impacted will be adult children, or individuals who are waking up in poverty, and they have mostly kids that have special needs, and these are children that are still in high school from age 18 to 21 until they age of maturity. These kids tend to be, at least my experience, having worked for 28 years serving people facing life-changing disease and disability and rehabilitation before I went to Congress. These parents are really trying to plan for the future for their children. So weekends, evenings, and summers, they'll have them find jobs, to develop some soft and hard skills to be able to work and start to earn. We've always counted those earnings by those kids, let's say adult kids, 18 to 21, against the eligibility of the family for SNAP. And I think that's wrong. If you're doing that with your children, normally they're saving that money up for their future needs, because they'll have significant needs, most of them going forward. And so that goes away, that changes under my Farm, Food, and National Security Act. We don't count the income of those adult children towards the family's eligibility for SNAP.
Has the work requirement changed for all, like,
Oh, that changed already in a bipartisan way. President Biden signed that, I want to say, 2 years ago. I was part of the negotiation at the White House with President Biden on that. And all we did, but no, it didn't go away. The work, if you're between the ages of now, it was 18, so it's now 18 and, I want to say 58. It was 55 or something like that, was younger.
it was 52 to 54, I thought, but I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
well, we increased by a couple years, right? The work requirement. The bottom line is to be eligible for SNAP EBT, if you're between the ages of 18 and we'll just say 58, we'll have to look it up. That's the new date, and that was negotiated under the debt ceiling piece of legislation that President Biden signed into law. That was a bipartisan piece of legislation. Then you are required to be either working, like 20 hours a week, or being engaged in some type of SNAP education or career and technical education, which we pay for out of the SNAP title. That's why SNAP title is so expensive. We actually pay. It's actually a workforce development title, not just a nutrition title. The nutrition title is not just about nutrition. We pay for that career and technical education and help people kind of reach a rung a little higher in the ladder of opportunity. Mm-hmm. Now, if there's some other exceptions that are still there, if you're disabled, doesn't apply to you. If you have preschool children that you're responsible that you have to care for at home, not going to apply for you. If you have disabled parents in your house, a disabled adult that you have evidence that you need to be there all the time to care for, then you don't have to comply with that as well. And quite frankly, 24% was the last number I looked at of all folks living in poverty that are on SNAP are already working, but they're working one or two low-income jobs, minimum wage, no benefits. So they're already working, and so that would already qualify. And so that really comes down to a very small part of the like 81 million Americans that are SNAP eligible. It's a very small number with all the exceptions. But why wouldn't we do that? We want it, what these folks need, in addition to nutritional support, which I want to see them get. They need long-term success, and that only comes through a good-paying job. And there's lots of those jobs out there today.